Hey yo, welcome to our channel today. 5 years after divorcing my cheating wife, I find myself contemplating the possibility of working things out with her. I had posted on Reddit 5 years ago when I discovered her infidelity during our engagement, marriage day, and even honeymoon. I'm unsure if it was this group, perhaps a relationship advice group instead. Back to the point, my wife was cheating all through our engagement, marriage day, and even the honeymoon. The best days of my life. She was sending pictures of her naked body to another man every chance she had. Even while she was supposed to be buying wedding dresses. I found out in the worst way imaginable. Even the calm consensus on Reddit was that she was beyond any second chance. A lot of stuff happened in between. I confronted her, went back and forth on what I want, but in the end, filed for separation. She seemed to accept my decision and stopped her pleading and trying to convince me to try again. She said if I had made up my mind, she would try to at least make the divorce easier for me. We had really wild sex the day she signed the papers and handed them to me. I hated her touch but desired her body at the same time. She told me she was sad for herself but happy for me because I deserved much better than her. She broke down and said she had no reason to live anymore but would keep living because she didn't want to bother me. In my mind, I called bullshit on that, but in reality, I kept silent and just left. I always had an inferiority complex about my wife. She is better than me in every way. Prettier, smarter, earns more, has way more friends. I also recognize now that I was heavily depressed even before finding out. I joked earlier that she doesn't look good with a plain, middle-class guy like me. She should go be with some millionaire supermodel. She always said she finds such people shallow and boring, and she finds me beautiful too. So when it came out, I concluded that she is just like that, a liar. Everything she has ever done or said to me is a lie. This image that she created in front of me of someone who doesn't want anyone other than me is a facade she created for whatever inexplicable reason. She never loved me, never thought I was attractive. She had sex with me and then went to the bathroom to send pictures of her body to him. She was just a liar and a cheat. That's who she really was on the inside. So her claim that she had nothing to live for, her proclamations before marriage that I am the only person she really cares about, that she will lose her identity if she loses me. I believed all of those before because she said them so lovingly and convincingly. But now I know they don't mean shit. She has always lied to me, just another manipulative statement. It's pretty obvious, or so I thought. My ex kind of disappeared after that I moved on too. I got into a lot of new hobbies for the next 5 years. It was a long time. I also dated a lot of people, tried casual hookups for the first time in my life. I just felt numb. There was nothing of substance. I did not enjoy my time with other women. There was an adrenaline rush that was addictive, but not long-lasting. But I did make a whole lot of what you could call friends. There were people to keep me company. I didn't feel alone, at the very least. For the first time in life, I was able to actually confide in people, even about my hardest struggles and about the cheating. Also earlier, I wouldn't have dreamed of trusting anyone that much. Weird how being betrayed made me trust people more. I started dating too, but couldn't click with anybody on the level I wanted. I floated in life this way for 5 years. Last week, I went on a solo vacation, visiting many nearby tourist spots. In one such place, I saw my ex-wife in a roadside fast food restaurant. I immediately felt my heart drop. I had no intention of coming face to face with her, but she saw me before I could leave. At that moment, something changed. Maybe I just didn't want to make things awkward, or maybe right now, figured out I actually needed some closure from her. I walked towards her, smiled at her like she was an old acquaintance, and asked if she was alone. She stared at me wide-eyed for 5 seconds, like she could not believe it was really me, and only then said yes faintly. It was a weird combo. We talked about very bland shit at first, completely avoiding the elephant in the room. She started shaking, and when I looked at her, she was crying. I asked, "What's wrong?" She said she's dreamed about this day since we separated when I very rudely told her I am not here to take her back as my wife. She said she knows, and that she just dreamed of talking to me again. The entire convo was basically just me trying to get a reaction out of her, by asking and saying intentionally hurtful stuff while she patiently explained and told me things I've always wanted to hear from her, but never quite accepted. Why I could not reconcile 5 years ago has a lot to do with this rage about her infidelity, and all this anger that gets the better of me, seething anger. I can't think of nothing else but that. I could not look at her without wanting to do something bad to her. I always had anger issues. I didn't even entertain the idea of talking to her or asking her questions. I wanted nothing to do with her, full stop. She begged, pleaded. I felt nothing but rage. I could burn down the world with that much anger. Not quite as much as before, but that anger was still there. I don't even remember a whole lot of my questions and statements, but she just calmly sat there explaining everything from her perspective, never blaming me for anything, apologizing over and over, validating my feelings. I don't know how or why she did that. I just know it felt really good to hear all that. I felt at peace. Later on, we moved out of the restaurant and walked on the pavements. She actually thanked me at the end for giving her a chance to say all of those things. She also told me she wants to be a part of my life again if I let her. We don't need to remarry if I don't feel comfortable. We can choose what we want to be for each other. I'm actually seriously considering working out things with her now. But I also think, is this just a high? I know as a fact that I was denying myself closure by avoiding talking to her. I needed that closure about why she did it, if I was inferior, or could not satisfy her in any way. I have listened to all the answers now. Hence, it feels like everything is resolved. Is that why I am now starting to think about her in that way again? Or do I actually want to be with her, with a cheater? I also think if it is possible for a cheating wife to feel so much regret and pain about her wrong decisions even 5 years later. She says she regrets every single waking second of every minute of every day of her life for the last 5 years. She said she hated herself and she would have sold her soul to turn back the hurt she caused me. How can a person turn from a selfish past to a supposed selfless being who only exists for me? That does seem a bit much. I worry about if I'm being manipulated by her again. If she did it once, she can do it again, or is it me overthinking? I am just very confused. Update. It feels good to talk to her, to hear her voice, even if it is over a call. She keeps asking to meet me, but I'm not sure if I want to meet now. I want to believe her when she says she waited for me all this time, when she says she didn't consider dating someone else for a single second while she was away from me. I feel so helpless again. I know our relationship has the potential to be amazing, but the fact is I don't trust her at all after all she did. She will go out for 5 minutes, and I will imagine her booking a hotel room to another guy. She's been really taking the initiative. When I asked if she's willing to give up access to her passwords, she offered to hand over her entire phone to me instead. I told her even if she does everything perfectly, it is still possible that it will not work out and we will both lose those years of our lives for nothing. She says she will be grateful for the chance, even if things don't work out in the end. I get a feeling these are shameful answers. She doesn't really mean them. I've been really thinking about online therapy. Offline counseling is just not an option here. I talked to her about it, and she was on board immediately. All I hope is that this emotion and gratefulness and vulnerability she's showing now are genuine and not some kind of manipulation tactic again. Maybe I'm just paranoid. Who knows? All these painstaking things she's prepared to do to restart our relationship, she wouldn't have done if she did not actually love me after all. I have nothing you wouldn't find in 1,000 other corporate job working class small town guys. I think I thought too lowly of her at some times. She gave me a great life pre-marriage. I don't have any deep knowledge about narcissistic people, but I don't think she is one. We've been together since we were both nothing. She helped me in both my dark times and even financially too. She never made me feel like a lesser man. In fact, she made me feel like I was the best man in the world. She was the one always planning surprises, arranging date nights, listening to me whenever I wanted to vent. I will say it. She was the perfect partner I could have asked for, apart from the fact that she was sleeping with another guy while doing all that. Obviously, I think she did love me in a weird, messed up way. Either that or this was all a facade. Was she enjoying making a fool out of me while making me think she was the perfect wife? Did she get off on it with her lover, making fun of how gullible I was? But even that seems too far-fetched. It's like I have all the answers from her, but I still don't feel like I have closure because I do not trust her at all. Zero trust. I don't hope for that 100% closure to ever come. I want to believe her, though, because in the end, I think the decision I see myself making is clear. I will at least try to work it out with her, or that's the plan for now. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of our community. We appreciate you taking the time to listen to our story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Your support means the world to us. And we look forward to sharing more compelling stories with you. Stay connected and stay tuned for more.